Turkey is positioned uniquely on the globe. The beautiful peninsula is sited between the continents of Europe and Asia. Historically, Turkey has a rich background, and although it is modern, you can see its traditions and ethnicities here. Ancient buildings and walls, although stand high, continue to wane. The Turkish government is trying to preserve its historical reminiscences. Here's the history of Turkey in a nutshell. Ancient Turkey. The first inhabitants of Turkey settled in the Mediterranean region in 7500 BC. One of the first towns formed in 6500 BC was CatalHyuk. This is the same town on which modern Turkey now stands. CatalHyuk was amongst the first towns in the world. CatalHyuk had a population of 6,000, and they lived in houses. However, the town was abandoned in 5000 BC. Hittites. The Hittites established their empire in Anatolia in 1600 BC. It was founded by Labarna I, also referred to as Hattusili I sometimes. The Hittites often went to war and were always looking forward to expanding their kingdom boundaries. They called their capital Hattusha. The people worshipped many gods and goddesses. They believed in the powers of nature. The last king of the Hittites was Suppiluliuma II. By 1200 BC, they were being attacked by the Sea Peoples. They were Aegean, and to add to their misery, Assyria was also on their tail. The Phrygians, Kaskas, and Bryges all invaded the Hittite lands. Hattusha was burned down in one of these invasions. Soon, the Hittites were lost in history. Smaller civilizations. The Phrygians ruled over Turkey and were quite powerful in the 8th century. Famous King Midas was a Phrygian. From 650 to 546 BC, the Lydians were dominant in western Turkey. Meanwhile, the Persians were also emerging as a new power. Cyrus the Great was the founder of the Persian Empire, and he soon defeated Lydia and several Greek cities. In 334 BC, Alexander the Great conquered the Persians and took Turkey under his control. But when he died in 323 BC, Turkey was divided between his generals. Western Turkey was invaded by the Celts in 279 BC, and they established their kingdom. From 133 BC, the Romans slowly began extending their rule to the whole of Turkey. This they accomplished in about the next 100 years. Christianity took roots in Turkey in the 1st century, but the Christians were persecuted widely. It was only in 313, after Emperor Constantine became a Christian, that the persecution ended. Emperor Constantine made Byzantium his new capital and named it Constantinople, which is present-day Istanbul. By the 4th century, Roman Empire was divided into the Eastern and the Western Empire. The Eastern Empire of Rome was known as Byzantine Empire, and Turkey was a part of it. Middle Ages. In the 6th century, Emperor Justinian of the Byzantine Empire built the famous Hagia Sophia Church. The Arabs tried to overturn Constantinople several times in the 7th century, but failed. The Seljuk Turks attacked Baghdad in 1055, and in 1071 took Byzantine in the Battle of Mazikert. In 1243, Turkey was taken over by the Mongols, but they left soon, and after that Turkey was divided into many states. In 1288, one of these states of Turkey became the foundation of the Ottoman Empire. In 1453, they captured Constantinople, which brought an end to the Byzantine Empire. Ottoman. The Ottoman renames Constantinople Istanbul. The Turks fought many battles and extended their boundaries. They even captured Egypt in 1517. Although the Turks were powerful, their kingdom slowly diminished in the 17th century. The Europeans proved to be more powerful, and they had to surrender to them. Russia battled Turkey in the 18th century and took many lands from them. Nationalism struck Turkey, and in 1832 Greece broke away from them. Romania and Serbia claimed their independence in 1878, while Bulgaria made its way to independence in 1908. 1908, the Sultan of Turkey had to abdicate, and elections took place in Turkey. Modern Turkey. After the World War I, France, Greece, Britain, and Italy occupied Turkey, but Mustafa Kemal fought the War of Independence between 1920 and 1922 and drove all foreigners out of their lands. Sultanate was abolished in 1922, and Kemal became the president of Turkey. Since then, it has seen many reforms and modernism. It is a beautiful tourist attraction and has its capital as Ankara.